Hi, this is Dr. Mary Hansen, and this presentation is on how to obtain scatterplots and correlation coefficients using SPSS. When scatterplots and correlation coefficients are desired, it is implied that we have two measures on each subject in the study. Remember, in SPSS, each row denotes a single subject, and in this case we have two variables, impulse control and aggressiveness, both measured on the same subject. In the variable view screen, the variables have been set up. The first variable is impulse control, given the label impulse control. The second variable is aggressiveness, given the label aggressiveness. Going back to the data view, we see that the data has also been entered. In order to obtain a scatter plot on this data set, we want to say graphs, legacy dialogues, interactive, and then choose scatterplot. In this example, we will put aggressiveness on the vertical axis and impulse control on the horizontal axis. That can be done by highlighting the variable and dragging it over. Clicking on the Fit tab, if I want to see a regression line plotted, I could choose regression. This will provide the line drawn on the curve. If I click on the Spikes tab, I could have some spikes in the graph. I'm not going to choose to do that. For the title, I'm going to type in the title Scatterplot of Aggressiveness versus Impulse Control. And then when I click OK, in my output window, I will get a scatterplot of the data. You can see that this particular scatterplot, because I chose the regression line option under the Fit tab, does have the regression line plotted on it. If I did not want that regression line, I would go do the same analysis, graphs, legacy dialogues, interactive, scatterplot. I can go to Fit and choose None, click on OK, and in this case I will get the scatterplot, the plot of the aggressiveness versus impulse control variables without the regression line plotted. Next, a subsequent question to answering once you see the relationship between X and Y, and in this case you should note that there is a negative relationship. As impulse control scores increase, the aggressiveness scores are going down. So a person with more impulse control would have lower rating of aggressiveness. On the other hand, people with low levels of impulse control have higher levels of aggressiveness, and we see that relationship as a negative relationship. If I wanted to know the strength of the relationship, I can get that with a correlation coefficient. So under the Analyze menu, I'm going to say Analyze, Correlate, Bivariate, and I'm going to choose the variables in the study. In this case, I only have two variables in the data set. And I want to make sure I ask for the Pearson correlation coefficient because these data are quantitative in nature. The default that goes along with the correlation output is to provide a test of significance, and this is one place in SPSS where we do have the option of choosing two-tailed versus one-tailed tests of significance, and also to flag the significant correlations. Those will be flagged with an asterisk. When you click on the Options tab, you can optionally get means and standard deviations and cross-product deviations and covariance as part of the output. For this particular analysis, I am not going to choose to get that information. Once I click on OK, I get a table of correlation coefficients. One thing to note about SPSS is that in the first row where it says impulse control, we see the Pearson correlation coefficient, and I'm going to come over and I should note the correlation between impulse control and aggressiveness is -0.867. Following the sig two-tailed, which represents the p-value, I come over and I see that that is 0.011, and this is based on 7 observations. SPSS does provide some extra output in this correlation table. I don't have a great interest in knowing the correlation between impulse control and impulse control, but what you will notice is along the diagonal of such a table, such a correlation table, the correlations will always be 1. The values above and below the diagonal in the table are repeated. So the correlation between aggressiveness and impulse control of -0.867 is the same as the correlation between impulse control and aggressiveness. That is the way SPSS does present the correlation output. In several analyses, SPSS does duplicate the information. Again, the way that we obtained the scatter plot was graphs, legacy dialogues, interactive, Scatterplot, and then assign the variables to the horizontal and vertical axes. The way we got the correlation output was analyze, correlate, bivariate, choose the variables, choose Pearson correlations, and then click on OK, and you'll get the correlation table. This presentation on obtaining scatterplots and correlation coefficients is by Dr. Mary Hansen.